the Riviera 4300 Sports Express. She's a new model, a new range, and she's actually incorporating a whole bunch of great new ideas. And she's a mix of great new ideas, but also some existing classic ideas that some of you are going to recognize. Jump in the comments if you do. And this boat's going to be perfect for those of you who are stepping up from a multi-engine outboard powerboat. If you're looking for an awesome, ultimate day entertainer that's manageable as a solo operator. And also if you've got a couple of little young tackers running around or on the way. Not me, but you get the idea. So this boat is going to be perfect for those of you that I just mentioned, and anyone else who thinks of another demographic or another style of boat. Jump in the comments and let us know, because that's what this channel is all about. So do let us know what boat you have now or what you're considering this with, that because that also helps me choose what other boats I should film for you, because that's what it's all about. So starting out the back of the boat, this is going to be the full and detailed tour. And after this video, if you're interested in how this boat looks and you want to see how she performs, it's windy, it's rough, and we're going to be driving it out in the ocean. And I'll tell you what, it's a classic Riviera. She's very comfortable. so it's going to be a good video. So this is full entertainment day boat vibes, and I really am seeing a good transition for some of you coming from big multi-engine outboards looking for more space, because you're going to have some familiarities and you're going to have some differences as well. But we've got the full Barbie area out the back here on the Corian. So we've got the hot and cold sink, we've got the single Barbie, and we've got some more workspace just here. Nice, thick, heavy, solid, just as what you would expect from a Riv. Grab handle out here. And then we've got some super cool little features. I'll just show you the shallow storage first. You can see we've actually got the air compressor there for pumping up your toys. And we have storage for lines and safety gear in there. More shallow storage. We can also store a bin, but there's multiple bin storage areas in this boat. But check this out. That is 10 feet deep. And as you can see, it's stand-up paddleboard storage, could be surfboard storage. You go for your life, but it's very deep, super functional. And we also have our shore power cable just tucked in there to port. And so it's all neat and tidy and out of the way when you don't need it. You've got your courtesy lights, you've got your swim shower just here. But right here is your wing station. Super handy if you are that solo operator. And as you may or may not be able to see, because we have these stainless steel removable bars just in both port and starboard, as the operator, you're not going anywhere. So if you give the boat some juice, you've actually got something to hold on to, and also your crew when you're walking around the boat and boarding on and off. This is very, very useful. Got your flagpole here. I suggest you might want to get rid of that when you are actually maneuvering the boat, because it might be in the way. Beautiful stainless steel cleats. We're going to see more of those when we go forward. And the next thing I want to point out is this super cool. I've seen versions of this in America, but this is a bit unique to Riviera. Yes, it's a drop-down swim platform. It's got about 150 kgs thereabouts capacity for a tender. But see how they've incorporated this step in here. It's perfect for a bit of this. Like, it's just great. They've even got a drink holder on either side. We've got underwater lights if you option them, I suppose. We've got the slats so we can allow the water to pass through when you've on, you know, a wave affected area, which we were earlier today. That's why we moved to this location. And this will deploy all the way underneath the water when you need to use it for the tender deployment function. So that's super cool. And it's also not protruding too far out, so it's not making the boat too long from a storage perspective, which is nice. Next super cool thing, I love this. So for any of you who are into those sea bobs, you know, those electric jet ski thingamajiggies, this is actually a little sea bob storage area. I'll see if I can lift that up. That's on the gas struts. See that? How cool is that? So it just slides in there and you get it out of the way and you've got your own little toy garage. To be fair, I have seen a slightly better design in Ibiza the other day, last week. I saw one which was at the waterline, and so you didn't even have to lift it out of the water. But if that's all you have to do, because remember the weight of that can go up on the platform, and then you just got to go straight in there. So it's not really the end of the world, but very, very cool. I like to see that innovation. Next thing, the kid and doggy door is like a pocket door. So that just slides in there, boom, boom, and you can definitely enclose this whole area with clears should you wish. But as you can possibly notice, open plan galore. We're going to get back to this, and then obviously we're going to go right down and deep into the interior. But initially I want to take you up to the foredeck, because of those of you who are used to having lots of space on your big bow riders or your center consoles, you still have that on this boat, which is kind of cool. So just quickly, engine shutoffs, you got water and your manual bilge pump operation. Obviously she has all the electric bilges as well. We got the waste out. Wait a sec. Yeah, waste out there. And you've got two options to go forward. We actually have a side opening door on the port side, and to go forward on starboard, you go forward from aft. You wouldn't go forward on the port aft because it doesn't make sense. You got the wing station just there. So you hold on to that, and then you can go forward. You actually have another grab handle just here, and you can also, by putting your fingers in here, hold on, and then when you get to this location, you can slide your bum, midships cleat aft, midships cleat forward. And then for the tall buggers, you could actually reach up and over, but for me, I would put my hand underneath there if I was in a seaway and rocking around. You can option these with a Seakeeper. This one doesn't have it fitted, but it is possible. So that's your forward midships cleats just there. And these fittings just here allow for a complete sunshade operation. You can feel the wind jarring up on the anchor. Obviously we could resolve that with an anchor strop, but we don't have one with us today. So check out this area. Isn't this lovely? So this is what many of you are going to be used to with your big day boats. And at the boat show, when I was investigating this boat just over the weekend, you know, I saw up to 12 people on board this thing just having a squiz, and like 6 people up the front. You still got enough space for more, and more people in the middle of the boat, people down the back. Like, it is a really good functional layout, and you can see people utilizing it as they wish. That's a great lounge. Just look at the amount of space we've got here. It's very comfortable, and the material is going to be hard wearing. And then we're straight onto the sun lounge, and these will also come up as well. So all of these will turn into the backrests if you want to do some reading under the shade, or if you're in Europe and you want to come up here and do some sunbaking. They call it sun bathing in Europe. I guess it's kind of logical. We call it sunbaking because it literally is doing that to you. But this area here is not upholstered. However, you can do that. So you can just talk to your dealer if that's important to you. But the idea is not to encourage people to be sitting up here when you're underway, because it is, if you've been on the haul over inlet videos too much, you'll see people doing irresponsible things like that. You shouldn't be letting kids sit up there when you're underway. That's a little bit safer depending on the conditions, but most of the time you should send them aft. So underneath these locations here, we have deep storage, access into the anchor locker. So that's a great place for a couple of fenders. We have drained storage on port, and then something that's slightly different for the Riv, access, okay, to the, I'm just going to close this, anchor is via this hatch with the gas struts just here. So you can see any muck or water is still going to drain in that direction. You've got fresh water, salt water washdowns, and then you've got your control here, but we're also doing it from the helm. And yes, it does have a camera as well. And there's your safety, your cleat, and the bow roller is designed in such a way that if the anchor comes up upside down or the wrong way around, the weight or the gravity of pulling the anchor down is going to swivel it around. It'll come up and it'll stow itself in the correct manner. Now, another cool change or way to do this in terms of the design is mounting this spotlight forward on the bow is great, because when they mount them on the roof and you activate it at night time, you get all this glare back in your face. And so it's sometimes it defeats the purpose. You can't really see what you're doing. So I love having them up there. Definitely got to have the little Riv flag on the bow. Also pay attention before we go down the port side. We've got the speakers, we've got storage, we've got drink holders. That's probably for a bottle of booze. But we've got phone charging. We've got lots of phone charging points all the way around the boat in sensible places. Same again on the port side. We even have the Fusion stereo control just up here. So it's the full-on entertainment, relaxing station. All of these covers can stay in position because there is a weather cover that just zips over it all, which is stowed underneath, I assume. Of course, I forgot about the table. Thanks for reminding me. So, let's get in here. This is cool. This is like the piece de resistance. So, if you get in here, we actually need to... I'll have to cut to some B-roll on that because I'm going to have to take the cushion on. But there is a stunning table which folds out and turns into a little coffee table forward and central. And it's a fiberglass construction for your drinks. So that's super cool. Now, on the port side here, we got more storage. I like how they haven't just wasted that available space there. So you can roll up your covers and just put them right there rather than having to take them aft to stow. We've got navigation lights on port and starboard just here, drink holders, stainless steel. But then the carbon fiber poles, which are designed to protect the whole bow, and then also your boat hooks store nicely here. So a lot of you are coming from the center console style boats are going to be familiar with that. The design, the roof design, it's what you would expect to see on every Riviera, but it's got a practical function because the roof line coming forward of the windscreen in the midday hot sun just bathes more shade on the glass, so you're going to be a little bit more comfortable at the dash, and it reduces the heat load on the inside. High quality stainless steel windscreen wipers with freshwater wash, really, really easy to operate from the helm. We'll see that in a second. And then another thing worth pointing out, actually, I'm just going to pull this door slightly closed. Can you see that big stainless steel grate just aft of me? So that is a massive drain. So if you are at Haulover Inlet and you have a little whoopsie and you dump the bow and you actually bury the bow full of green water, it doesn't matter. They've thought about exactly that scenario. That water is going to go through a massive drain that's like this big down the back there, and it just evacuates straight off the back of the boat. It's actually just forward of the engine intake. It's part of the styling of the boat, so it's just about that location, and everything will just evacuate in a nice speedy manner, and you're not going to get any water inside here. It's been designed in such a way. So come inside. Obviously, this is a cool feature. So we've got this proper sea door, which will actually hinder your progress aft, but it's designed to allow you to go forward. So if you need to go aft, this door's got to be closed. Reaching that cleat is still possible, but don't forget you have another cleat forward, so it's not the end of the world. And it does allow you, just watching your head as you come in, fine for me, less so for Dean, you got a duck. And welcome into the cockpit. Look at this social space. And I think this is probably the reason why many of you guys are considering moving to a boat like this, because if you have come from a center console, even if you come from something like a Boston Whaler Conquest or a Grady White, you have, nowhere near as much protection as you do on a design like this. So if you have now got one kid and another kid on the way, and you really do need to think about wind and sun and weather protection, even air conditioning, so heat control, it's all possible because we've got air conditioning outlets, 4 of them at the dash. We've got another one just there, actually another 2 just here. So this whole space can be enclosed in clears, and you can do some climate control with the heat. You can obviously do that with the cool as well. And we've got the extended sunshade, and this is a permanent setup because this is all stainless steel framed, supported, do it like a doiga, and that ain't going nowhere in the wind. So that's going to give you rain protection and really good sun protection for anyone in this location. And if you are thinking about little tackers running around and potentially going in the drink, one adult can just sit here and control the gate. All right. So from a safety perspective, worried about kids, animals potentially going in the drink, having just this one area that can be controlled by an adult allows you guys just to relax a little bit more because you're not having to watch every single corner of the boat. And it does make a difference when you've got little kids who perhaps aren't water wise just yet. So this area here, it's full wraparound social seating, like many of you, really, to be fair, have seen on Rivs, back in the day. Like, this is proper dayboat stuff. We've got storage underneath both of those seats just there. We also have storage underneath this one, but this table here opens up. It's beautiful timber, and we've got drink holders just there. So we've got 5 drink holders all up. We've got down lights. We have aft lights. We have an aft camera. We've got speakers. We've got a grab hold on the center line. So it's a proper sea boat. But just check this out. This is a great new idea. Let's see if I can get both of the latches undone. Just a second. Okay. Now, did you notice the backrest? See that? What a good idea. Have you ever tried to do these seats on gas struts and you have to move the aft one and it's so annoying? They've designed it on a special track system, so when you lift this, the whole thing hinges up. And underneath here, so get the camera in here, this is all insulated. This is one massive fridge. So it's electrified, it's huge. I forget the capacity, but look at the insulation, and it's also drained. So that's one of the multiple fridge options we have on this boat. Underneath this seat here, same thing. So this thing lifts up and the backrest also hinges up as you need. We have the engine access underneath my feet. We're going to get back to that later in the video because I'm just going to focus on this entertainment station. Beautiful Corian. This design just aft of the cutting bench or the workbench is great for throwing drink bottles. You can just chuck all sorts of things there when you need it. We've got phone charging tucked in behind here so we can have some phones on charge. We've got another bin, so that's a good spot externally, but there's more downstairs. And then we've got decent amount of storage on both sides. So we've got the glassware on this side and the cutlery. That's a small cutlery drawer because you probably use that for some of your barbecue stuff that you use out the back on the barbie. And then we've got a full fridge with a freezer little section, and I like how they've covered it up with the fiberglass just there. But there is more. There's more because just forward, just here we have an ice maker to utilize with your Yeti, which is American for esky. So this pulls out and you can use the esky as a seat and then just pull out beers and set this up like that. How good's that? So that's super clever, nice use of space and very functional. Get it out of the way when you don't need it and it just slides in there. I love that. That's great. This drawer here, see all your instrument covers, they fit in here perfectly. So all the dash instrument covers can just chuck out of there. I might even put a little bit of safety equipment in there so it's easy at hand should I need it. Guys, I'm not selling any of these boats. I'm not affiliated with any of the brands and I'm not making paid advertisements. I literally just make these videos for you to hopefully use as a tool for you to help your boat life. And then I think we should focus on the helm. That's the ice maker I was just referring to before. The helm's lovely. It's super modern. We've got the carbon finish. We've got the leather dash, which is not going to reflect back in your face. We've got air conditioning outlets in 4 places venting onto us. And we've also got demister forward on the windscreen, so no issues there. But look at the window just here. So that's a nice, just manually operated sliding window. I've got the opening sunroof just above me. That's just operated by these switches just here. And we have another sliding window port forward of the opening door. So if you don't want to have the door open, you actually can also have that open just there. Got some waves coming through from someone's big boat. We did try hard to get out of the waves, but obviously we haven't fully succeeded. So let's just go right through the dash because she's a good one, this. Starting off starboard aft, we have more phone charging and another sensible place to put your phones. You go forward on this carbon fiber look. You've actually got the touchpad for the flat screen Garmin's. They're all touch screen. Wash and wiper operation for your windscreen wipers. Very handy having that just aft of your throttle hand. So your Your Volvo IPS, you can have the 600s or the 650s, so they're 440 or 480 horsepower, but they are the equivalent of a 600 or 650 horsepower on shaft because IPSs are a little bit more efficient. And then immediately forward of the throttle, you've got your joystick, and obviously we saw our second joystick port aft on the wing station. We can just press a button and hold station, and it will connect to the satellites, and it'll hold you in the middle of the marina with some crosswind. Too easy. We did it this morning multiple times. It's great. Engine ignition, start, stop here. We've got our side power, bow thruster just here. VHF operation here. We do have a Fireboy automatic system, but this is the manual release should you need it in an emergency. Just immediately to starboard of the steering wheel, we've got the spotlight operation. This steering wheel is adjustable. Does the logo move? Okay, it does. All right, that's one little complaint there. I've seen some boats where it's not moving, but if that's all we have to complain about, I'm happy. All of our sunlight operation, bilge pumps just here. Garmin, that's a, this is going to be engine diagnostics here. This is the Garmin display. This is your anchor windlass operation, and all of your lights and the horn just here, which is great. I don't want to see these sorts of buttons hidden on a flat screen on multiple displays like you see on some vessels, because that gets too hard to find when you're bouncing through waves. Two flat screen multifunctional displays. As you can see, we actually have the anchor down, so the anchor camera is on, which makes life really easy for the helmsman or helmswoman, and then we can just cycle through what we want to see on the display, and depending what you option the boat with, radar, etc., it's all there. Big drink holders, so you can have a tinny and a cooler in there, no problems. Same again on this side, and then we've got the Fusion, the air conditioning, and a nice footrest with timber construction, but it's got a bit of grip on it, if you may or may not be able to see that on the camera. So if you needed to stand, you're going to get plenty of grip, but you can also fold this down, and that's quite comfortable. So you definitely should be driving a boat like this 50, 100 nautical miles in the ocean and going and having holidays when you're not just day boating, and it's going to be good for that. You can sit at the helm, just stay on watch, let the boat drive on autopilot, and you'll be comfortable. And these seats are quite luxurious and comfortable to do that. We can get in behind or underneath this seat to access the refrigeration. I had a look at that, and there is some adjustment on these seats and good stainless steel construction. And I may have not mentioned that you just go up this one step 4 inches to raise your line of sight when you're at the helm. But I think if you're a tall guy, you know, I'm 5'7", you've still got that much space until you get to this roof line, and you've got more because of the opening roof. It's not a glass sunroof, it's fiberglass, so it's not going to let sun through, which most Aussies prefer. Jump in the comments if you're not into that, but we do actually want the ability to get out of the sun, so that's what that is giving to us. Now, before we go below, there is actually there we go, fly screen. See that? That's super handy. So this is a sliding fly screen that goes underneath the main companionway door, which slides like so. And then we've got some storage little areas where you can throw things just here. Nice timber trim, which is cute. And then coming down these companionway stairs, they're timber, but again, they've got that same grip stuff on them. And this is great. Again, if it's a family boat, it's anyone of any size can hold on to this stainless steel grab rail, so it's nice and safe. Come on inside, and this might be where you're going to notice some design cues from the Riviera M400 and M430. So anyone who's been boating in Australia who has had or has been on one of those boats is going to notice this design, because this opening space just here, I might as well just show you, it was something that we saw on those designs back in the day. I do remember those. So see how we've got these pocket doors, and this door hidden in here is what closes the cabin off. So great use of space, and then opens it up when you're using it in social mode, which is going to be most of the time. Did I? Yeah, I did. Okay, great. So that's great, but there's plenty more. We've got some storage. This little cushion or footrest, it actually just slides on the floor. So you can just complete this into a bit of a day bed, possibly sleep someone overnight here. The accommodation for a boat of this size is excellent, because you could technically maybe sleep one person up in the cockpit, potentially another person or two kids here. And then we have two, and maybe even two kids, which we'll get to in a second. So let's just go forward and start here. So master island berth, storage underneath the berth. Okay, can you see that? Just aft. And then that's on gas struts, but then the easy access storage is in these drawers. We have 4 of them underneath the bed on the center line. I'm standing on carpet, and then we've got sort of a nice carpet, soft textured finish here, which is doing its job quite well in terms of sound absorption. And also the fiberglass hulls, the thickness of these hulls is another thing. They will absorb a lot of the sound when you're in the ocean and even at rest. We do have a few waves out there today, but I was on a carbon fiber boat just last week in Europe, and it's noisy as all hell. The thinner the hulls get, the noisier they get. So if you actually want to stay the night on a boat, you do have to consider the thickness of the hull, because it can be uncomfortable. So if you want to sleep, I think a Riviera is a good choice. Forward-facing escape hatch and good for ventilation. We've got little hull windows here. They're on the small side, but you can still get a nice little view out. The ones in the middle of the boat are definitely a lot better. Reading lights, beautiful amount of space. I've got some of my stuff in here, but you can see carpet lined, timber, lights on both sides. It's air conditioned, and it's all very pleasant. Nice light switches there, and this door here recesses. So when this door is, see that? See the recess? So it's nice and flush with the head and shower door, which we'll have a look at in a second. I'll just sit on this for perspective. Oh, it's super nice. So now this is where the hull windows come into their own, because that's very pleasant, and that's not something we had on those earlier M400s, M430s. You were kind of more in a cave, where that's lovely. That's really, really lovely. And look at these vertical textures against the flat surface and the timber. It's all very understated. I think it's quite smart. This is a nice little area to put laptops and bits and pieces, but you've got a sound bar, you've got your flat screen TV just there. You've got drinks, or glassware, I should say, just stored up there. Deep drawers on either side, and then a little bit more shallow storage underneath. I didn't show you in here. Okay, bit more storage in there. Good place for wallets, bits and pieces. These are all your light switches for down here. But I think from here, let's show you the head. Okay, separate shower. So it's a great head. Basically, we've got a full, it's not a rain head shower. It's one of those movable shower heads that go up and down with the soap. And then you've got a teak step and storage for your soaps just there. And I suspect that might be access towards the holding tank or that direction. I haven't opened that up, so I'm not too sure. Decent amount of storage under the vanity. That's beautiful and well done. It's a vacuum flush toilet system. So that's going to be basically the system that doesn't produce smells in the head, because it's not a macerator, and it's just sucking everything out using fresh water. You've got your opening ports. They've all got alarms on them, so if you accidentally leave them open, it's going to let you know. And we're on this nice Corian floor, drained here and obviously drained in the head as well. But the whole area has been done beautifully well. And then I think we should come straight to the L-shaped galley. More refrigeration. So we're not struggling whatsoever on this boat when you think about all the options we have. So 2 decent ones. I say that's probably a freezer. I don't really know. If you know more than me, feel free to jump in the comments. But we've got two, because we've got the generator on this boat. We've got the two hot plates here and here. We've got the typical big Riviera bin. If you've seen on my previous videos, that whole big bin pulls out and it should be drained, which it is. So you can actually hose that whole area out should you need. Not a problem. Decent, deep stainless steel sink just here. And actually, yeah, that is a fridge. I was getting confused for a second. I was like, is that a dishwasher? I was having a moment. So, okay, storage underneath the sink. And then, what do we have here? More storage, pots and pans. Okay, that's where your cutlery goes, because I think your Barbie cutlery goes up underneath that, in the smaller drawer up at the cockpit station there. Okay, and this is one of these microwave things. I think it might be more than that, inverter. I don't exactly know. So, decent storage. Up above, remember, I think a lot of you guys are going to be using this as a day boat that you occasionally weekend on. It's absolutely going to serve you well in that function. And here's where all your plates, your bowls, and your coffee cups all individually stored. We didn't even hear them rattling around in the waves before today, so that works, which is great, because when they're not done properly, I can hear that from the helm. So access into the bilge, C-zone operated from here. If you haven't used a C-zone system before, it's designed for non-boaters. It's really simple. When you're going boating, you press cruising. When you leave the boat, you press dock unattended. When you want to entertain, you press entertain. When you want to sleep, you press sleep. Can you work that out? So it's been designed for you. So come on in, and this is a wonderful layout. This bed here, I'll jump on it for perspective. So this is supposed to be a single. I reckon 2 kids could sleep here. Like if you got two adults could at a push too. And this bed is a proper double. I'll just go over to the side. Obviously, this person needs to go to the toilet. They've got to roll over that person, but first world problems, to be fair. It's very nice. We've got opening ports on either side. Beautiful big windows, actually better windows than the master forward. It's quite pleasant. I think we have something going on in here. Oh yeah, that's right. Decent drawer just in there to put a few bits and pieces. More charging USB, USB-C and A on either side. We've got the proper reading lights, we've got down lights. It's soft furnishings everywhere, so if the kids do come down here and have some pillow fights, it's not a problem. No one's going to hurt themselves. And I saw some drawers underneath me, so good place for beach towels, extra bedding, that sort of stuff underneath here, because we don't have any. Oh, look at that, look at those Riviera towels, they're funky. Whoever put the Riviera logo up is thinking ahead of time. That's good to see. Because we don't have the fuel tank in this location, it's actually just aft of this bulkhead, so we can utilize that space for extra storage. And there's just a bit more. And actually, can you guys jump in the comments? What do you think of this curtain? Would you do this, or would you do a sliding panel? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm at on that one. So I'll take some opinions in the comments below. So we've got a little bit of hanging storage here, good for wet weather jackets and a few bits and pieces. And obviously if you're using this in the dayboat function, you'll probably throw all your guests' bags on that starboard aft bed, because it's unlikely that you're always going to be using that one. So it seems pretty logical. Let's quickly just look under the floor, because I love looking under the floor. Okay, water tank on the center line. Fantastic. Access, I love having access. So let's go straight up on deck and get into the engine bay and show you guys the access. So it's the twin IPS 600s or 650s, you choose. We've got this boarding ladder down into the engine room. This is the fuel tank that I was just talking to you about on the center line aft of that bulkhead. We can see the fuel filters. You guys are going to have to come with me, and I will probably grab the camera. Oh, actually, I should have turned a light on. Pass me the camera. That might work. If it doesn't, I'll use some B-roll Oh, yeah, you can still see. So, we are looking at, that's the port motor, and then I'm going to cycle around to the starboard, and then all the way on the starboard side of the starboard motor, I've got the vacuum flush head system. We got hydraulics after that. I can see a hot water system behind there. We've got a lot of our pumping, power distribution, raw water intake. So there's your power distribution on the forward bulkhead. And if I just cycle around, you probably hear me. The gen set is just on the port side. We can see wiring looms going aft. All of our batteries there on the port side of the port motor. And you've got the house forward, and I'm pretty sure that's the crank batteries aft. And then you can see down the center line just here, and you've got multiple bilge pumps where they need to be, right in the deepest part of the boat. And you can see access to the IPS drives just there. So, five-buoy system as well, just in this location. Ginormous flat screen TV, which folds up into the roof. I forgot to mention that before. So anyone who loves their cricket, that's for you. I got my notes as I'm trying to be as detailed as possible these days. So I'm going to wrap it up here with this nice view in the background for us, and give you some final opinions on this boat before we move across and take her for a drive. So who do I believe is best suited to this boat? I suspect many of you, seriously considering this, your dad probably already has a Riviera. So that's definitely going to be a demographic, and that's probably the Aussies. But I also see such a global market, absolutely in North America, New Zealand, and other places, even Europe, who will see some great value out of this. So if you've come from something like a Boston Whaler Outrage or Conquest, if you've come from a Grady White, if you've also come from a Nimbus, a T-Series, or W11, for example, and you've been using these boats as primarily a day boat, and you're doing less and less fishing, for example, and you see your life going in the direction of more water sports, activity, entertaining, and as I said, you got some little tackers running around. And for those of you outside Australia, little tackers means little kids. So in case you got confused, I do see this boat bringing great value to your boat life if that's the direction you're going in, because of all this protection. All right, so you have an ultimate amount of sun protection. The wind protection is fantastic. We can all be seated on these seats here with this perspex, or this clears just here. You really don't have any wind on you. You only got a tiny little bit of wind out at the barbie out the back. So it's a fantastic space for enjoying extended amounts of time on the water and moving around the decks from there forward to the bow from the side opening door. It gives you a lot of options as solo operator. So if the whole party is just wrapped up in this part of the boat and it's not possible to get to the back out on starboard, you've got that door, which is going to make your life a lot easier when seconds count. If you are someone similar to the three brands that I just mentioned, who recognizes or is used to a higher build quality. Okay, so we're not talking about some of the French boats or the Polish boats. If you're used to an American build or some of those other, basically more expensive build quality boats, this is going to be a straight transition for you as well. If you're not familiar with a Riviera, the construction is fantastic. And also if you want good seakeeping. So this is a boat that I'll happily take out in the ocean. This is a boat that you can sit at that helm and drop off 2-meter waves, and you're going to be comfortable and safe. And we're going to show you that in the very next video. So if those things are all important to you, this is going to make a lot of sense. So design, feedback, pros and cons. She's the perfect entry-level sedan style sports cruiser, in my opinion. This is really, really good if you're starting your life in what you could refer to as a big boat. Okay, it's going to make a lot of sense for that. This is an excellent family boat. All right, so even if you just got 2 kids, they're going to want to invite their mates. That option to sleep up to 4 kids down the back there is fantastic, and you've got flexibility up here and also in the saloon downstairs. So it really is, it's a manageable size, but you get loads and loads of people on board, so that's really, really positive. Some cons. Well, depending on the boat that you've come from last, it's probably going to be slower. You know, if you've had twin V12 600s or you're running like a triple 400 V10s on the back on your last boat, you're going to be used to cruising speeds of 40 knots. That's not what we're going for on this boat. We've still got high speeds. We could still cruise in the high 20s, but we're not going to be in those 40 knot speed ranges. So just consider how you boat and work out whether that's okay for you. But to be fair, once you're moving into this style of boat, you're not really going to find many options that do those sorts of speeds. So you do have to dial back your expectations a little bit and consider what's important to you now. So because, you know, kids aren't necessarily happy belting along, launching off waves at 45 knots. So think about that. Or maybe wives. So it's less of a fishing boat, more of a family fun water sports activity boat. So sure, you can drop a line in off the back, but it's not really a full-on fishing boat. So if you did come from that Boston whaler, and again, if that's really, really important to you, if fishing is what you live for, then maybe this is not the boat. So just think about your use cases. The performance feedback. She's capable, she's solid, and she's smooth, but I'm going to talk about that in more detail in the next video because that's coming up right next. And the competition, what actual boats would I compare this to if I was considering buying a 4300? I'm going to talk about that in the next video as well. So subscribe if you like the channel, if you enjoy seeing this content. Don't forget, it's your subscriptions, your comments, and your activity which the factories see, and that's what helps me open doors and get access to other boats that you want me to test. So if you want me to keep doing this, just get on there, subscribe, like, and share with your mates. I'd appreciate it. Next video, test drive coming right up. See you there.